Watch Now, Church of God Bible Study.
Okay, we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and we're going to have a good Bible study, but only if you all are out there and are going to contribute to our Bible study. Okay, so what that means is get your Bibles out and follow along, and if you have any questions, please put those questions in the chat, and we will do our best to answer any questions that you might have.
Your display on the Bible stream doesn't match what you've got up here.
What do you mean? Oh, I see. Okay, what's going on with that?
Did you press that little switch that you're supposed to press?
Yeah, I mean, everything should be...
That looks like we've got a mirror in front of me and behind me.
Well, I'll restart it because I just... Okay, we're having a few issues here. Hi, Brother Mike.
Hey.
Oh, what's going on? Let me see. Okay, all right, hold on. Yeah, give us a second here. Let's fix this. Okay, and... Now, how about that? Now refresh.
I see a mouse running around there. Now you've got the whole screen.
Okay. But I need slides.
Right.
It should be...
You're almost there.
Okay, slideshow. Why isn't it? Oh, boy. Okay, we're having a few issues here. Just give us a second. I apologize for this. Oh, what's going on here? Okay. I can't get it to come up. Why? All right, I'm half afraid to shut this down. From current slide, it should be doing it. It's not. Okay. This is interesting. All right, I'm going to shut it off and restart PowerPoint. Okay, there. Now it should be working. Hey, we're working.
Yeah, that looks
Okay.
better. Well, let's
All
see
right.
here.
Now, let's go ahead.
Almost there.
Yeah, almost there. Now we gotta skip ahead to 84. Okay, we're getting it. Sorry about the confusion here. Sometimes we just
Now
have to work things out, and we are sliding through all our slides and looking for, whoops, there she is.
You got the
84.
screens mixed up. You're not displaying the right screen on the stream. It's got your slide.
I don't know how to
plus the
fix
next
that
slide.
right now. Honestly, I really don't. I don't know what it wasn't doing that before.
Yeah, you gotta swap screens on the stream.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know why it's not going full screen. Well,
John says he can do a quick assist if you want. On the
yeah,
CPU.
tell him to, please. Okay. While that's being fixed, let's go ahead and talk about Bible doctrine. And so what is Bible doctrine? What is Bible doctrine? Help me out, guys, okay? What is Bible doctrine?
What the
Brother
Bible
Charlie?
teaches.
Okay.
There you
All right, the doctrines of the gospel are the principles or truths taught by Christ and his apostles, right? Does that sound good? Okay. So why is doctrine important? Because there's a lot of people that feel like doctrine isn't all that important. We should just get along and just put your doctrine away and I'll put my doctrine away and we'll get along. So how do you view that, Brother Charlie?
Well, doctrine is, Christ said, what did he say? His doctrine was not his own, but what he taught was from God.
Right.
So it's important that doctrine be correct.
Okay, all right. Can you think of a scripture? How about 2 Timothy 3:16?
All scriptures.
All right.
Go ahead and read that if you would.
Yeah, what do you guys get? John, why don't you go to quick assist?
Huh?
Quick assist.
Well, help me.
On which one?
Go ahead.
2 Timothy 3:15
Yes,
or
please.
16.
3:16.
2 Timothy 3:16 says, all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is
This
profitable
one?
for doctrine, for reproof,
Yeah.
for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that
Okay.
the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works.
Okay, that's great. So what about Titus 2:10? What does that mean to everybody here? You got it? Anybody have Titus 2:10? If you
Yeah.
do, go ahead and read it, please.
Not purloining, but showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of God, our Savior, in all things.
Okay. How do you adorn the doctrine, Brother Gale? How do you do that?
You immerse in it. You absorb all that the doctrine
Okay.
is telling you.
So it's almost like you're
You
this
live it,
light.
you live it,
Yes,
you
it's like
live
you're
it.
wearing it.
Yeah, like you're wearing it. You're adorning. You're the doctrines of Christ. Oftentimes when we hear the word adorn, we always think of the ladies, the women. But in reality, it's much deeper than that. We're to wear it. When people look at us, they see the doctrines of Christ, or they should, right? That's correct? Okay. So let's look at Romans 6:17. Go ahead. You have a question?
Did you say Titus 2:10?
Okay. Right.
Is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I guess my versions read a little differently, but
Yeah.
okay.
We're using King James.
King James.
Yeah,
Okay.
it should be close though.
Are you King James people?
Well, that's what we use mainly, but we use other versions as well. If it
Okay.
explains
NIV.
it. What's yours say?
I don't even know what version this is because
Okay.
it says instruct servants or slaves to not steal from their masters, but rather to demonstrate faithfulness and trustworthiness, so that they may adorn the doctrine of God, our Savior, in all things.
Oh, you
Okay.
read 9 and 10.
Oh, okay, okay. Two
Okay,
verses.
I see.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's pretty close still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pretty close.
Mhm.
Okay, what about Romans 6:17? The
But
screen-
God be thanked that ye were the servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you.
Okay, again, Romans 6:17. Look at that. Ye were the servants of sin, but you obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered unto you. So, what does that mean to you, Brother Mike?
So we were the servants of sin.
Right?
At one time we were sinners. Okay,
Right.
but we obeyed from the heart the form of doctrine. So heard the scriptures, we heard the preaching, and we obeyed and got saved.
Okay, all right, great. All right, now, we're getting there. We're actually,
Measure it up.
yeah, I actually want, right here, 84. I need 84. We're getting there. Slide number 84. What we're gonna do is while he's still fixing the lesson, I need this paper. Okay. We're going to talk about a pattern of good works. Look on your sheets, sound doctrine, and you'll see a pattern of good works. And we're going to talk about Tabitha, or Dorcas is her name, and that is in Acts. I want everybody online to turn to Acts 9:36 through 38. And again, I apologize for the technical issues. We're going to work around this, okay? So I don't want, look, it's not, okay, so.
Yeah, hold on.
You gotta fix that. Okay, so Acts 9:36 and 38, and I'll go ahead and read it. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha. You have to move the thing over here.
Yeah.
Move it over there to get it back over
Yeah,
there.
okay, couldn't find
All
it.
right. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and alms deeds. What's alms deeds? Have you ever looked that up and tried to figure out what that word means? It means, I'll tell you what it means, compassionate toward the poor. Have you ever been compassionate towards the poor? At any time? You know what really gets me? When I was in Israel, okay, we went to some of the border areas, right? And there was this bridge, and there was this young woman. She was sitting there with little babies, and I know she had no money for food. I looked at her, and my heart just went out, and I you know what I mean? When I see a woman with two little babies that have nothing to eat, you know, I want to give. So look at think about Dorcas. And then it says, and then she was compassionate towards the poor. Look at the next words, which she did. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can you put your name? Can you put your name there? Can Mike? How would you say that? Which Mike did? Which brother Gail did? Which brother Bob did? You know? Each one of us. Can you put your name there? And it came to pass in those days when she was sick and died. Okay? So I hope you can get this working, because I got some really good pictures.
All you can see is that right there.
Yeah, Charlie, what's
We're working on it.
oh, he's working on it. Okay. I apologize. So she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in an upper chamber. And forasmuch as Lydia was nigh to Joppa, the disciples had heard that Peter was there. They sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. Okay, so here this Dorcas, all the poor people knew her. She made clothing, is what she actually did.
Mhm.
84 is what I need, brother. Go back the other way.
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute.
Okay. Okay, that's great. All right, so she had made this clothing for people. And now we want to go to we're still in Acts 9, verse 41 through 43. Now look at this. Actually, let's read 40. I'm sorry. Acts 9, 39 and 40. Then Peter arose and went with them. When he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber, and all the widows stood by him weeping. So all these women that this Dorcas woman had helped were weeping because their friend died, and showing the coats and garments which Dorcas has made. So you can imagine that as Peter, was there, right? They're all crying. They're showing Peter, hey, this woman was our friend. She made us clothes. They probably didn't have clothes. They probably didn't have coats, whatever. But Peter put them all, said, okay, ladies, you got to leave, right? And kneeled down. I can't imagine what this would have been like. Think about it. And prayed, and turning him to the body said, think about this. Tabitha, arise. Can you imagine being there and seeing something like that? And she opened her eyes, right? And when she saw Peter, she sat up. I mean, can you imagine what that would have been like? Okay? Now,
Miracle.
I know it's a miracle, but here's this woman, and that is the only place in the Bible where she is mentioned, right? She is mentioned. Okay? All right, here we are. Finally. Thank you, my IT guys. I don't know why things have to fall apart, but that's okay. We're still doing it. All right, here we go. Now we're going to catch up. There she is, Tabitha or Dorcas, and that's a picture. And you see her hands are busy, right? She's making some things. All right. So now we're going to go to. Okay, we already read that. Now let's go to verse 40.
Good job.
And we read that. Okay, thank you, Brother Charlie. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Brother John.
I know. I don't know what was wrong, but we're all good now. Okay, now let's look at Acts 9:41 through 43. And he gave her his hand and lifted her up. And when he had called the saints and widows, presented her alive. Can you imagine if we had a funeral out here, that we have, and all of a sudden she got up, or he got up, okay? And many believed, and it was known throughout all of Joppa, and many believed in the Lord, and it came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with one Simon the tanner. And you know what? When I was in Israel, I went by this house, and it said, the home of Simon the tanner. And I went, no way. So there it is right there.
Wow.
I got a picture of Simon the tanner, but that's where, in the very end of verse 43 says, and it came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with one Simon the tanner. So that's where Peter was, I thought, whoa, that's amazing. I gotta get a picture of that.
Simon A. Tanner.
Yeah, that's right. That's him.
You get to go in?
No,
Oh.
you got to have a special tour to.
Oh.
I just saw the door and I thought, well, that's all I'm going to get today, but that's good enough,
Yeah.
I thought I knew that something had happened there. I wasn't sure about this
Sure.
whole story though, but it's really interesting.
It is.
So, okay, let's keep moving. What do we know about Dorcas? What do we know? Anybody can you fill in the details?
What you just read about, she was a maker of clothes. And
Okay.
and she did good.
Yeah.
She had alms to those that were poor.
Yeah, she did. Okay. She lived in Joppa.
Okay.
We know that. Just little details. All right.
The scriptures say she was always doing
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Always.
Bible describes her as a certain disciple. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting words. Okay. Dependent upon God for her salvation. She was very unselfish person. We know that because chances are she didn't have a lot. But yet she was willing to give to other people. Her time, her talent, and whatever money she might have to do things. It says, that's what Joseph said. Full of good works. You're right.
They said that in the Bible.
That's right. Well, you brought it out, though. That's good. Full of good works. Sewed garments for the needy, okay? What does the phrase "which she did" mean?
She did it.
She did it, right? Which she did. I mean, when you read it, it's easy to gloss over that. And I always put myself, which Bob did. Do I do that? What do we see anybody in church with needs? How about prayer requests? How about prayer requests that go up? Do you feel like, wow, I want to write this? Are you all forgetful?
Oh yeah.
If I don't write it down, I'll tell you what. I write it down and I
Go to
say,
the store, go back home until you forgot what I was
yeah, you already forgot, right? So if we got to be like Dorcas,
Yeah.
right? Which Nathan did. I mean, you said Jason, Brother Gale said Jason's leg. I mean, come on, we got to pray for this young man.
Yeah.
Look at all the needs we have. Brother Jim, I'm surprised this is the first time he hasn't been here in a long time.
Yeah.
Must be camping. Yeah, that's the only thing I can figure.
Don't say that, don't say that.
I know.
It's on the trail.
All right, but you know what Brother Jim told me last week? He said, Brother Bob, there's one thing that I miss. I used to love to go to people's houses and do carpentry work for
Yeah,
them
that's
because
right.
that's what he loved,
Yeah.
right? So is there something that we can do to be like Dorcas? Is there something that we can give to somebody else? Maybe invite them over for dinner or whatever. Sherry's really been trying to invite people over, and people that maybe like Sister Belinda, you know what I'm saying?
Good.
Just lost her husband, and
Yeah.
Sister Elaine, she goes through periods, and
Yeah.
having her over tomorrow, you know what I mean? And
Good.
I just kind of go along with the flow, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, is there? I don't want to exclude anybody. Is there something that you can do? I'm talking to the people that are online right now. Is there anything that you can think of, any good thing that you could do for somebody that you care about out there? It just can't be for the people here. It's got to be for you too. Okay, let's take a look. Good works are actions. All right. Do y'all have a New Year's resolution? I mean, it's past January. I mean, how you doing on it, right? Have you had anything that you took action? I mean, you might say, "Oh, I got to go home and I got to do this. I really want to have her over. Or I want to fellowship or communicate." But have you put it into action? That's the whole thing. She said, "Which she did."
Right.
Right? That's an action. Okay. What about sharing the gospel? Can we do that?
Good. Very good.
We can do that, right? I mean, we always say, yeah, I'll tell you what, brother, let me tell you something. And this is a challenge, and I'm going to be challenged too. But when we get this new building, I want to go out and knock. I want to go with anybody that wants to go.
Built-in.
I want to knock on every door that we can knock on and get people. Because you know what really impacted me? Brother Shane's message. He said, are we increasing?
Excuse me.
You know what the answer is to that? It starts with the N.
Right.
Okay? And he explained that. He said the world does not want Jesus Christ. The world does not want Jesus Christ. Go ahead. You have a
John, you said
Excuse me.
when we get this new building, I'm going to start knocking on doors. So I just want to help you out. Because when you say stuff like that, I do it sometimes. What you're doing is you're putting it off until a year from now.
Okay.
So,
Hello.
He got me.
Hello.
He got me.
Let's start now.
because what is going to happen as a leader in this church, people are going to follow you. And they'll follow you now.
Right.
So you'll be winning souls
My
when you increase.
and I hear you and I understand that. I really do. And I know what you mean.
Ouch.
We're still doing stuff here, but my door knocking has lacked for a while. Okay? But what it is, the reason why I'm thinking like that is because we're going to have space for 300. And like Shane said, maybe there's only room for 150 in the new church. So I want to do everything that I can to bring in new people from that new area. We've knocked on a lot of doors around Manassas, a lot of doors for years.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they say, I get this all the time. I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm good. How many times have you heard that, right?
Yeah, but what do you think gonna happen down there? You think they're gonna wanna come either?
Well, we're going to,
I've been talking to people, I mean, this one fella in particular is young married couple with 2 kids and another one coming. And I've invited him to, I walk the block when I do my little walk. And I talk to him
yeah,
and they promise to come.
right. And they don't.
And my neighbor,
Yeah,
I talk to them.
I know.
And they're trying to fit us in like the old Jews did, you know, we wanna do this, but we also wanna do that.
Right, I
Have you
understand.
compelled them yet?
I do.
Compel them? How you compel them?
You gotta drag them in. You gotta compel them, brother. So the Bible says
I thought what I
compel
was
them.
doing was compelling.
You gotta, it's stronger.
Let me,
Commitment.
let me read you a script. I'm still going every Saturday, but let me read you a scripture. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for much as you know, your labor is not in vain.
That's right.
So we're not graded on results, we're graded on effort.
Right.
So it
Right,
doesn't
that's
matter
true.
if they come or not. Noah did awesome work. We
Right.
don't look at him and say, oh, how many people did you get? The work of the thing is you just go out and share the gospel.
That's
We plant the seed and then we leave it with them, what they decide to do. It's like the pastor preaches. He preaches an awesome message. No one gets saved. He's still graded on what he did, not because no one went out to the altar. So
Elder
never,
brother,
never get despair. It's discouraging at times, but always encourage yourself. It's not in vain.
Elder Brother Wilcoxon used to say, is that sometimes you might not see the fruits of somebody that you ask, but God might bring them in a different way.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that.
bless your efforts
That's
that
right.
way.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
That
That's
is true.
good.
Yeah.
Also, I think we need to encourage ourselves because I believe we're living this close. Let me put a little piece of paper between here. Get a space there. You can't see anything, but there's something in between there. We're living that close to the rapture, or the departure of the church, or the end of time. I think. So I think the whole idea of encouraging ourselves and sometimes praying and fasting and going out together, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
Last day.
let's helping those in need, giving to the poor, offering food or water, or praying for others. Okay? That's a good thing to do. Following the laws of Christ. Okay. Sharing what you have, giving to others, especially those in need.
There's one other thing. It says if you want to make friends, as Elder Brother Wilcoxon was always a proponent of that. Make friends with
Be
a
a
person.
friend.
Be a friend to people,
Yeah.
and they will draw near to you. They'll draw nigh to you.
I think you have a better chance of getting them to the church if you make friends with them.
Yes, and you like you said, giving to others is like everybody has their little what they do that would help other people.
Right.
I learned a lot of things from Brother Warren.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned from him was doing siding work.
Right.
Put up siding.
Yep.
My neighbor, we got to talking. It's been a little while now, and he was looking at the siding that they had on the house. It was like a plat board. It's like the cardboard, and it was starting to fall apart. You know.
Well,
So I said, I can't help you with that. You know, I said I did my shed. Remember when you and I did my shed? I said I can help you with that. And he went. He said yeah. So he went bought the siding, and I did the whole the back side of his house and part of the front. And it's like things like that would it would make people friendly. But I was wondering why he didn't come here. But come to find out, he's a Baptist preacher.
oh.
Okay. Your neighbor? Did you say? Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
A
wow.
Baptist preacher, and
And that's why he wouldn't come, I imagine.
Well, that's the only thing I can think of, but
Okay.
we're still good friends, you know. We
Right, I understand.
talk to her about church every so often and
Right,
see her.
yeah. Mm,
And,
right.
But
Okay, that's good.
you know, you can't get discouraged by if you invite
That's right.
people and they don't come.
No, I don't.
Because only, you know, I read something not long ago and it says only a remnant is gonna be saved, a
Sure.
residue,
That's right.
you know? And if you pour everything onto the glass, what's left in the bottom, that's the residue.
Right.
But in the end, I think though, to me, and we just not doing a job that we should be doing. I think that we could all do better. I should just put it that way. I know Brother Nathan has been faithful.
But that's why I use the term, we have to encourage ourselves,
Yeah.
you know, and not so much look at what you're not doing, but encourage yourselves and encourage one another to do it.
Well, it comes with a burden.
Yeah, and that prayer is the key. I had an experience this morning, and this is on the hospitality note. Someone did some work for me yesterday on my car, and I paid with my card. I didn't have any cash, and I wanted to give the person something, and I felt like I was telling myself, like, I'll do it whenever, you know. And I felt the Lord was telling me, go and do it today, do it. And as soon as I got this morning, I went to the bank, got some change, and took it and gave it to them. That's the other thing about hospitality. We have to practice, encourage ourselves to practice with brisk willingness.
Okay.
Remember Abraham? When the angels came, he ran and got the stuff and ran and got the sheep and whatever. So.
Okay, so let's take a look. Working heartily, doing your work with enthusiasm, as if for the Lord. In other words, any kind of work. It doesn't matter if it's your work, your regular job,
Yep.
or anything that you can do for God. You know what I'm saying? Bible studies. You know, there's this lady. Her name is Anita, and I spoke with her today. And I told her some of the stories that she. I repeated that when we moved to the new area, I want to make sure that we knock on every door and give everybody in the area an opportunity to come to our new church. They're gonna go by this beautiful area, beautiful building, and so forth. And it reminds me, Brother Latimer out in Oklahoma, they built a new church, beautiful. Did it everything by hand. And all the neighbors were kind of going by and they saw, whoa, what is this? You know, what's this in our neighborhood? It's beautiful. So they just came by to even come to check it out, right? So I'm hoping that, you know, people in the neighborhood will be curious. And I think people out in the country away from the city, you know, I call it away from the city anyway.
Where are you building?
It's down 28
Down
towards
28. You
Bealton.
familiar with 28 towards Bealton?
Yeah.
Close to that.
You know where there's Mayhew's, it's a Citgo gas station, and Meats
It's
Road,
going north on 28, right?
south on 28 from here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's away from
Okay.
Manassas.
Going towards Bealton.
Yeah.
It's down, not too far from, it's right around the corner from the airport,
Mm-hmm.
Fauquier Airport.
Okay.
Okay. New subject. How does sound doctrine produce stability? All right. Now, stability. What's stability?
Not shaking,
Sturdy, grounded.
Grounded.
unmovable.
Okay.
Unmovable.
All right. That's good. Stability can go in a lot of different places, a lot of different ways. Emotional stability, right? I mean, have you ever been
Yeah.
felt like you weren't stable?
Yeah, that's a good.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially in these times.
Yeah. Before I was saved, I know that I wasn't. Definitely was not stable. Can you say amen, Brother Charlie?
I was mentally unstable.
Right. Okay. Well, hey, you can be that way too.
Yeah.
Right. But this is going to teach you how to think right. In other
Yeah.
words, go ahead, Brother Gale.
It starts from the foundation. It starts from where where we get our food from. The
Okay.
Word.
Uh-huh.
We get
Right.
our food from the Word. And
Yeah.
that's built upon the foundation,
Okay.
and it will make you stable.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Depends on what you eat, not
Yeah.
moldy.
You're not
Right.
wavering. You're not
right.
wavering.
Okay. Now, what we're going to talk about is some characteristics of people that are stable. Okay. Now check this out. To me, I would want to be this way, that I could face my difficulties in a certain way. Let's take a look. Are less discouraged by setbacks and disappointments. Emotionally strong and stable people are less discouraged by setbacks and disappointments. Okay? There's a way when you get hit by something and it punches you in the gut and you just want to bend over, well, you might bend over for a minute, but then you kind of straighten up and say, devil, if it's the devil attacking you, I'm not going to let you. How many times? Did you say that once at all today? Get thee behind me, Satan. You didn't say that today? What, am I by myself?
I think so.
Oh, we all had to fight the devil
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
one way or the other. We had to
right,
fight
but
the
a lot of our instability, where does that come from? The devil would love to make you unstable in your
Right.
thinking.
Yeah.
Okay?
True.
To make you not think right. All right? But it's not by us.
That's
It's
right.
not our power.
That's right.
It's God's power.
That's right.
That's the main thing.
But you can use the Word as a reference point.
Yes.
Like you know, a lot of times when I get thoughts that's come to the end, you know, where it came from. I mean, it came like it come out of nowhere. You
Right?
say, okay, Jesus was tempted of the devil. He was told to make these stones
Yes.
into bread.
That's right.
You know, and the devil tempted him. But you just gotta stand on, get thee behind me, Satan.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
You know, you just gotta put him off.
Okay.
But it will happen. Setbacks, discouragement will come, but it don't have to set you back.
Okay, how about this? Change. Anybody like change? What's changed me? Brother Charlie, you just retired.
Yeah, that was a nice change.
It was a nice change, but there was some adaptations going on.
Yeah, there-
Now your wife has you around all the time.
How's that going?
She was.
Okay, you know what I mean though, right? I mean, when I retired, my wife said he's going to be here all the time. It wasn't like it was an unpleasant thing, but it was just now she has to, you know,
Adjust.
yeah, she has to adapt, right? Okay? Emotionally strong people are more adaptable to change. Is that not true?
Yeah.
I mean, if she was a weak person, she could say, "No, I don't want to deal with this. Go
Right.
go to Walmart and get a job."
And most people
You know what I
hate-
mean?
most people do not like change,
They don't. They don't.
but we have to be adaptable to change.
We do. We're not I'll tell you what. There's one thing that we won't adapt to, and that's false doctrine.
That's right.
Right.
Right?
I
We
agree.
won't adapt to that.
That's
So
right.
as long as the doctrine stays Church of God, let's say, we're going to go along with it just fine
Right.
because there's not going to be a change.
A lot
All
of
right?
people resist change, but change is inevitable.
Yeah. And look at our world. Look at what's going on politically and all the things, the change.
Yeah.
It's a good thing right now, most of it. We feel that it
Good
is.
changes, yeah, but some of the old changes still need to be changed.
Right, I agree. But there's a lot going on out there.
Yep.
I mean, if you think about it.
I know that there's a lot going on out there, but I know of a man that I worked with for many years. And now he set himself up because when he retired, he never had any hobbies. He never had anything that he did, you know, as anything. I mean, his whole routine was you go to work and you come home.
Okay.
And when he retired, his wife told him, you know, you got to go back and find a job.
Oh, wow.
Because he was just behind her all the time, and
Yeah.
and she couldn't do what she used to do, and
Right.
he don't have anything to do.
My wife said, we're going to travel. And I said, okay. I wasn't raised with traveling a lot, right? But Sherry, she wanted to travel, and I like it, right? Especially some of the places that we went. It was wonderful. I mean, we're going to Ireland in like a month, you know.
You are?
Yeah.
We're going in a month.
You are?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see
Ireland
you.
too, Brother Charles?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Hey, mate, maybe I'll see you over there, huh?
Sherry Russell.
That's
Yeah.
right, mate.
You'll be out
I
with
didn't
us.
know that.
Wow. Be
Wow.
Irelanders.
Yeah.
Irelanders.
Irelanders.
I'll have to share our itinerary
Yeah.
with you. That's amazing. Okay.
Hey, now I don't know if you've got a bullet point for this, but you say how does sound doctrine produce stability? You know, an example would be the Bible says to bring every thought into captivity.
We're going to get there.
So sometimes
Yeah.
when you're, you know, during the day and something comes to your mind, and you gotta do something with that. Well, you know, the Bible teaches us to control our thinking.
Okay.
So when we do that, that produces stability.
Okay.
I
All
think also, bro, you had mentioned a long while back about the boundaries.
Yes.
Yep.
That too.
Yeah, mental boundaries, right? In other words, you set up these boundaries and you aren't going to let your mind drift outside of that
Yeah.
boundary because you set up a boundary according to the doctrine of Christ.
And that keeps you stable.
That keeps you stable. That's right.
So you
Let's
said
look at
something
this.
about not adapting to false doctrine.
Right?
So we don't want to remove the old landmarks.
Yes. Right. Drive those tent
Yeah,
stakes
right.
down deeper, right?
That's right.
Okay, look at this. Focus on getting around a hurdle rather than on the hurdle itself.
Getting hung up on it.
Okay, you with me on that?
Yeah.
In other words, it's like Peter, he's just getting off the boat, right? And Jesus Christ is walking on the water, and he all of a sudden, can I come out too? I can walk. Well, maybe I can. Then he gets out on the boat and he starts walking on water. All of a sudden, he's looking at the storm, right? Oh man, I mean, who wouldn't? You know, the storm, and waves and stuff. You're gonna drown, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
but he started focusing on the problem.
He got his eyes off Christ.
He got his eyes off
Surroundings,
Christ and started looking at
The waves, the wind,
yeah,
the rain,
yeah.
the thunder.
Same thing. Focus on mentally, emotionally strong and stable people can focus on getting around a hurdle
Yeah.
rather than on the hurdle itself. Okay? Let's look at another one. How about can learn from mistakes and criticism? How are we doing?
Yeah, that's a good one.
How are we doing? Can somebody criticize you?
That's why I say it's a good one.
Constructive
You heard what
criticism.
Joseph said a little while ago. I'm not thinking right.
Oh, well, you know,
I can take that. I can
Let's
take
do
that.
this
Well, I can take that. You know what I mean? And that's good. I mean, we should be able to take
The
criticism.
key point is to say it in an encouraging way, especially if
Yeah.
it's a younger
Right. Yeah,
Christian who's
exactly.
coming along because
And that's interesting you said, and I'm trying to think, not Boston, but the other,
London.
Who?
London.
London's there. I got a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on fire, this young guy. I love seeing that, right? I got a podcast, and can you come and, you know,
Yeah.
and talk on my, like you did. And so he wants to do something. He wants to reach the world. That's a really, really good
It is.
thing.
Yeah.
It is. So, all right, let's go on to that. Tend to see the larger perspective in a challenging situation. Can you see past the situation and believe in faith that God is going to work it out? Sometimes you have to see past it, and that can be really, really difficult sometimes. Lately, I've just ran into some things, right? And man, you can't even see how are we going to get around this? But God makes a way, does He not?
Yes.
God makes a way. He does.
If you
Every
give it to
time.
him. If you give it
If
to
you
him.
give it to Him, that's
man.
right.
If you give it to him.
That's it.
And don't take it back up.
Yeah.
And don't pick it back up. All right? Are able to recover more quickly from emotional wounds such as failure or rejection. How do we, when somebody really hurts us down to the core, how quick? We just had Sunday school lesson on this. Okay.
You gotta go back in there.
How do you recover from an emotional wound? How fast are we? How do you do it, Brother Gale?
You gotta go back in there.
Okay.
Have to forgive.
Proverbs 3 and 5.
Okay. What's that
Trust in
say?
the Lord and lean not unto your own understanding.
Okay. Sometimes things
In all
happen.
thy ways acknowledge him.
Okay.
You're gonna have to rest not wrestle, rest on the scriptures.
Right.
You know?
Not wrestle. I like that.
The biggest
Don't
thing
wrestle.
is to think right. That's
Yeah.
how you're going to recover. You have to think right. If you go to that Philippians 8 chapter,
Yeah.
4th and 8th verse,
4 and 8, right? Philippians 4 and 8.
4 and 8.
Yeah.
Think on these things.
Okay.
And I think just a simple pray. You know, Lord, I don't understand why, but I commit
Yep.
this into your hand.
Yeah.
That helps.
Mhm.
Instead of you holding on to it, you just
Yeah. Give it to God.
cast on
That's
your
right.
fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
There's a
Okay.
comment in the chat.
Okay.
4th District News says, sound doctrine is given by God, therefore it's bound to work out imperfections. We'll never be perfect, but we're definitely better off to pattern our life after sound doctrine. And then none raised the question, what does it mean to be perfect?
Oh,
That's a good question.
yeah.
When we get to holiness, we will talk about perfection. If he,
So-
so that means he's got to come back, not next week, but the following week, because I might as well put this out. Next Tuesday, there's going to be a wedding, so we won't be in here.
Oh, it's next
Oh,
Tuesday?
yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so it's
wow.
next
Yes,
Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
But we got to talk about Hannah.
You ready?
Are you ready to talk about Hannah?
Oh,
Okay, good. All right. Does anybody know anything about Hannah? It's
Yeah.
I like talking about people we don't talk about all that often,
She was
Yeah.
burned.
right?
oh yeah, Hannah, yeah. First
Hannah.
Samuel, yeah.
Okay, she was in Shiloh. I went to Shiloh, right? So I'm like, wow, Hannah was here. So I got some pictures that's it's kind of
You're
interesting.
going to all the cool places. I'm getting jealous now.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look. There it is, the tabernacle. Okay, Shiloh is known as the resting place for the tabernacle. Shiloh is located in the hill country of Ephraim. It was chosen as a site for the tabernacle where it would reside for 369 years. After the Israelites conquered Canaan and settled the land. The tabernacle, which had been a mobile sanctuary during their 40-year journey through the desert, was established in Shiloh, becoming a central place of worship and a symbol of God's presence. All right, now everybody needs to turn to 1 Samuel 1, and that's what we're going to be talking about. All right, just some pictures. This is one of the pictures I took. It's an olive press. Okay? It's kind of interesting. You put olives in there and they swing this device over that. It presses the olives and makes olive oil. Okay? In Shiloh. That's where this was taken. All right. There's another picture. There's the walls of Shiloh. All right. Now we're going to read 1 Samuel 1, 1 through 8. Okay, let's take turns. Brother Charlie, can you read that? Just start reading for a while. Now, does anybody know anything? I want you to pick out some names. Of course, there's Hannah, and then there's Peninnah. Okay, 2 women. They weren't very nice to each other. Is everybody kind of gathering in onto the story? Peninnah didn't treat Hannah very well. Not at all. So, remember, we're talking about the character of strong people. How do they overcome? Okay, so go ahead and read, Brother Charlie. Nice and loud.
All right, 1 Samuel, starting at 1 and 1. Now there was a certain man of
Yeah, I know. It's tough.
Ramathim-Zophim
Yeah.
of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah,
Yeah.
the son of Joraham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zoph, an Ephraite. And he had 2 wives. The
Uh-oh.
name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah.
Yeah, I pronounced that incorrectly. Peninnah. You're right. Go ahead.
And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this man went up out of his city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord had shut up her womb. And her adversary also provoked her sore, for to make her fret, because the Lord had shut up her womb. And as he did so year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, so she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. Then said Elkanah, her husband, to her, Hannah, why weepest thou, and why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am I not better to thee than 10 sons?
Okay. Now, just to give you a little bit of background. Okay, a woman to be barren in the Old Testament was, some people considered that sin. The reason why you're barren is because you're a sinner. Okay, so how did you pronounce that? Not Peninnah. How did you pronounce her name?
I don't even know that I pronounced it right.
Okay, no, you did. Peninnah, probably.
Peninnah.
Oh, yeah,
Peninnah.
something like that. Yeah, that's probably right. I couldn't repeat it, though. But anyway, she treated her, I mean, she had all these, was able to have children, and Hannah was not. And every time they went to offer prayers to the tabernacle, all right, she would torment her. She would torment her. Can you imagine? I mean, it'd be a hard thing if you wanted to have children and couldn't anyway. But you don't want somebody sitting there like making you so uncomfortable and lashing out at you that you don't even want to eat. Okay? You don't want to eat. She was rotten to the core.
Yeah.
Just so mean. Okay?
Brother Bob, you said it would in some circles it would be considered sin.
Yes. Yes.
I
It
thought
says
it was a disgrace.
in the Old Testament, barrenness.
Disgrace.
You thought it was a disgrace
Not to have children?
not to have children?
This is the way they looked at it. The barrenness could be due to sinfulness or simply a lack of blessing from God.
So it kind of
One or the other. One or the other. That's what they thought in the Old Testament. Okay? So let's take a look. This is amazing. This story really, if you get into it, it really touches your heart. Okay, so I'll give you a little background. Can you imagine? There's Hannah. She is just beside herself. This woman has been tormenting her for years. So she is sitting there. She's kneeling at the altar. She's praying with all her heart. You ever been there? Pray with all your heart. An affliction, you or your wife has an affliction, whatever. You're just praying with all your heart. You want God to move, right? So let's read 9 through 18. I'll read it. So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by a post of the temple of the Lord, and she was in bitterness of soul. Bitterness. Okay, that means her heart was so heavy from being tormented, and she wanted God to answer. So she said, and she prayed unto the Lord and wept sore. And she vowed a vow. Look at this. Remember, what weak people do, they run away from the problem. She's vowing a vow. Okay? Everybody with me on that. and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the afflictions of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. Not only is she asking God for a child, but she's also saying, if you give me one, I'll give him back to you. I mean, can you imagine? Okay, so here's what's going on. And it came to, this is 1 Samuel 1, 12 through 14. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. She's praying, no words are coming out. So she's mouthing it, but no words. So what's Eli think? Okay. Now Hannah, she spoke in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunk. In other words, seriously, when they had that festival, there was a lot of alcohol, or some people would drink. And I don't think it was just all grape juice, okay? I think,
grape juice.
yeah.
Fermented
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things going on at that time.
There was a
around the
lot
temple
of things
that-
going
The
on.
sons were being bad. That's
Yep.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Those
was,
two boys.
There was
Pretty
idols, there was a lot of bad things going on.
Yep.
But she isn't involved in this. But Eli thought she was.
Now-
What are you doing sitting here, coming in here drunk? And go ahead.
yeah, Sister Wilma commented that Hannah kept a good attitude, not only towards her adversary,
Yes.
but also when Eli thought she'd been drunk and confronted her as he did.
Yes.
She still kept a good attitude.
She did. Okay. That is to me. There's a lot to admire of this woman's character.
Yeah.
Okay. She. Now, how could you be tortured for years by Penaniah or whatever? You know, how could you be tortured by another woman saying you can't give children? Look at all my kids. Aren't they cute? Where's yours? You know, all for years, right? Eli said unto her, how long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee. Okay? So he's throwing it out there, right? And Hannah answered and said, no, my Lord. Here's that good attitude that she has towards him. Eli is accusing her of being a drunk. And she's saying, no, my Lord. I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Count not thy handmaid for a daughter of Belial. What's Belial? The devil. Don't say that I'm a daughter of the devil. I'm not. I have a heavy spirit. I'm pouring my heart out to God. But out of thy abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto. Okay,
We got a question.
go ahead.
Someone asked, what is the significance of the no razor part or vow?
That is how would you say it?
Would it be the Nazareth?
Nazarite.
Nazarite vow. That's what that is, okay?
That's correct.
Nazarite vow.
So no, you couldn't cut your hair. You couldn't drink wine.
No, you couldn't.
Couldn't
No
touch it.
strong drink.
Strong drink, and that's what Samson got
Right.
in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Good question, good answer. All right. And look what Eli said. This is okay. Now remember, we're talking about somebody that's tormented for years. Now, do you see that the covenant she just made with God, and then her pastor or the prophet says everything's fine, right? Okay, but look what she said. Then Eli answered and said, "Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked for him." And she said, "Let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight." So the woman went her way and did eat. She's done with that other woman, right? That other woman can no longer torment her because she believes God.
She received a promise.
She
Yeah.
received the
She
promise,
stood
right?
on that promise.
Yeah.
She got stability
Yeah.
on that promise.
That's right.
And she didn't
No,
get up and
it-
walk away with it again. She left it.
Yeah, she left it with God. Go ahead.
If I may interject, when you were talking earlier about going around the hurdle, I was thinking about the fact sometimes you have to go over the hurdle because you have these
Right.
rules.
Okay.
You know? And I think this is a good example here with her. She had to face Eli and explain to her what
Yeah.
was going on. That was
Right.
like going over the hurdle, but she
Yeah.
still overcame it.
Yeah, but she didn't have a bad attitude
No,
either.
Yeah.
You have a
More feedback. None said it's a type of our sanctification. I thought that was pretty good, the Nazarite vow.
yes.
And then SB says we must learn a lesson from Eli and not put our children above God. We must correct them when they need correction, or
Okay.
we'll be held accountable when they're in our house.
Right,
And,
that's good.
So it says that's right.
That's good.
Okay. All right.
Yep, gotta apply the rod when it's appropriate.
Right. Okay. So what can we learn from Hannah? We're almost done.
Or ground them or whatever.
Yeah.
Take away
We
the car keys.
we started a couple minutes late, so we got maybe 5 more minutes to go here. What can we learn from Hannah? Okay. Let's take a look. Have you ever gotten stuck in a pit of negative emotions? Have you ever? Have you
I
ever?
think we all have them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's normal,
Yeah.
right? That doesn't mean you're weak, right? It's what you do with those negative emotions
right.
that affect you in a certain way. I mean, she quit eating for a while, right? She quit eating. I mean, she couldn't even eat. I mean, have you ever lost your appetite? Didn't feel like eating because I'm in this trial and I don't want to eat, right? Okay.
Another thing we can learn is like when your spiritual leader insults you, because that was an insult what he said to her.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, she still had the right response, the godly response. She
Yeah,
respected
that's good.
in her answer.
Good.
You know, that just makes me think of David. You know, when he had opportunity, he didn't kill Saul because
Yeah.
Saul was God's.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Excellent. Yeah, that's a good thought too. Okay. God can help us handle and recover from the strong emotions that come with painful experiences in life. Handle and recover. God can help us, but we have to give it to Him. That's the whole point. I think it's been said a couple times already.
Here's just a little piece of trivia.
Okay.
The name Hannah means grace.
Okay. That's good. I like that kind of trivia.
Good deal. I like
Yeah. Hannah means grace.
Here's another one. Pour out our heart to God about our trials and problems, and then leave it with Him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key.
Yep,
Okay.
She left it at the altar.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. That's good.
Good feedback.
Okay. Our emotions may be too big for us to handle sometimes, but they are not too big for God.
That's right.
I mean, isn't it true? It's a true
Yeah.
statement in Hannah's case as well as our case. Okay? Year after year, it was the same. Peninnah would taunt Hannah as they went to the tabernacle. Each time, Hannah would be reduced to tears and would not even eat. So how did she find emotional strength? Well, it seems that eventually she decided her only way out was to take all her feelings to God. Right?
Right.
Okay. All right.
Like prayer and fasting.
Yeah, it could be. Hannah was in deep anguish, crying bitterly as she prayed to the Lord. And she made this vow, O Lord of hosts. Have you ever made a vow? Have you ever made a vow to God? Oh God, if you get me out of this,
Yeah.
I will do whatever your
Testify.
action. Okay? All right?
I do think that in our modern time that we're living in the New Testament time, we shouldn't make vows.
No, but I've heard. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just, because the vows can put you in sort of like, a difficult place where you may not want to be, or God doesn't want you to be.
Well, if you're
He said don't make a vow that you can't keep. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that because Jesus paid the price and He's done so much for us, everything is being provided. And we're in the New Testament times, and ideally you can make a vow and sort of like shipwreck your own faith. if you were not strong
I look
enough.
at that
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
I look at it completely differently. And why a vow is a positive thing. In other words, instead of a New Year's resolution, the difference between a vow and a New Year's resolution is a New Year's resolution half the time is broken. But a vow, when you make a promise, a vow is a promise. You make a promise to God. I want to change my attitude.
Yeah.
I want to be more patient. Lord, help me be more patient. You see what I mean? That is a promise, and God will help.
Well,
I think there's-
that sounds like more like a prayer. I've always like, I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
It could be.
By this time next year, or by this time tomorrow, whatever. You put a certain amount of.
Did you ever think
What-
about else in the New Testament?
Well, how,
I think it cautions us against making vows.
That's what I was asking.
It does,
Was
the
that ever
Bible
done in the
does.
New Testament, making vows?
no, I don't. I think you can make a vow.
Yeah,
I'm
Okay.
sure, but only thing I'm just saying is what's I gonna say?
If you do it, you better
Right.
go
Yeah.
and get it
Yeah.
done.
I don't think there's anything wrong with making a vow, but I just say you got to make sure that you're going to keep the
Yeah.
vow.
That's key.
That's right.
Nothing.
yeah. I've heard people, they get up and they testify, and they say, I prayed to God about this and told him that if he would work this out, then I would testify.
Okay.
So that that's, of course, that's not a. I was going to say that's not a real hard vow to keep to testify, although some people it
Does
may
it
be a
get
little
stage
difficult.
fright?
That's not. That's
Yeah.
not. That's a
for-
right vow.
For example, when I got saved, I said, okay, I'm quitting smoking and I'm quitting drinking,
Yep.
and I'm never going back to it. Never did. When I made that vow, I was done with it.
Yep.
And I did. I never, and God gave me the grace to go through my addiction, the little time period there you got to go through because you quit smoking 2 packs a day, whatever. But anyway, here we go. And we've already gone over this, but it's just a little reminder. Eli thought she was drunk, and she said, not true. Again, we've already talked about this. She had a good attitude. Okay? Go in peace. And she was no longer sad. That's the point of that scripture. She came to the altar totally in tears, crying. As soon as she made her vow and promise, she said, I'll give my son, you give me a son, I will give him back to you. And Eli said, may God bless you with your request. And God did.
I mean, she had to have faith.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
you know what I mean. She
Yeah.
Went,
No
at that
doubt.
point, she went and just went ahead and ate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, doesn't this give you joy? Knowing that if we really come to a real hard situation in life, that we can take it to God and He will. He's always answered my prayer. When I really get down and pray, Lord, I don't have a job, I need a job. Lord, I don't have a house, I need a house. Dear God, please help me be better. Hasn't He always answered our prayers? And just to hear about Hannah, somebody that went through a hard trial, how she went through it, and how God answered her prayer. Look at Samuel. I mean, do you think she was probably glad about how he turned out? I mean, can you imagine? Okay, just to get off this, I'll get right with you just in a second. But you remember, Samuel's just a little boy, right? And he's staying with Eli, and Samuel thinks Eli's talking to him, and it's God's talking to Samuel, right? Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
Okay, he was so dedicated. How old was he? 6 or 8, something like that. But he, that's the way he was. He was totally dedicated, and I know his mother when she would come back to the tabernacle and see him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the feeling she had? Penaniah, look, how do you like my son? Is there any reason for me to be happy about him?
Yeah,
Right?
got about 4 or 5 more kids after that.
Yeah,
Yeah, she did.
I mean it's wonderful. Okay, what was your question?
We got a question. Someone asked, let's see, where is that? Who was the judge that had to kill his daughter due to the vow he made.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh,
I was thinking of that when I was talking about vows, but I didn't want to take up too much of the conversation.
Right.
I think that was a bad vow. Because
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely.
the first
Oh,
thing that came out of my house.
I remember
I
that.
remember
Yeah.
his name, I can't think of his name.
I can't remember his
Everybody
name, but we all know the
Starts with a
story.
J.
Yeah,
I just know how to spell
But you know,
it.
they're
Jeff,
Jephthah.
Jephthah, yeah.
Jephthah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we
Now,
also had some more feedback. Don't make foolish vows. We make a vow when we get married. We make a vow when we get
That's
saved.
true.
God expects us to keep them. What else it says? Honor your. Okay, that's pretty. Yeah.
a vow when you get married. That's a
Yeah.
big deal right there, right?
That's right.
Okay, let's look at this. The kind of joy that is not dependent on circumstances, it's the joy of knowing I don't have to walk through anything in life alone. Even if I find myself in a deep pit, he will pull me out, just like what God did for David. Let's read Psalms 40, 1 through 3, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, go ahead. Brother Charlie, can you read that for me nice and loud? It's right up there.
To the chief musician, a psalm of David. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me, and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it, and fear, and shall trust in the Lord.
Charlie, can you say that's your testimony?
He sure brought me up out of a horrible pit, and out of
miry
miry,
pit.
muddy,
Yeah.
dirty,
Yeah,
slimy,
just
slimy
you can't
pit.
even. The mud was so deep, and you had your boots on, you could barely even
Boots
walk.
coming off.
Yeah, the boots are coming off in the sin, Brother Charlie. But look what he did for us. Look what he did.
Boots coming off.
Wonderful thing.
I know, it's a wonderful thing.
Do y'all know that chorus? He brought me out of the miry clay. He set my feet on a rock.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, we sing
Okay.
songs like that in church.
All right, we want to thank everybody for listening in tonight. We just appreciate those online. Again, if you have any further questions, now I do want to point out that next week, next Tuesday night, we are having a wedding. So we will not be having Bible study next Tuesday at 7 p.m. I'm going to miss it. But we gotta, we have a wedding. One of our sisters is getting married. It's going to be a great time. But I want to invite everybody to the following Tuesday after next Tuesday, if that makes sense. I don't have the date, but again, I want to thank everybody for being online here tonight. And again, if you could please just sign up on the subscribe and pass the website, pass our Bible studies on to a friend, and we would love to have you again. So we want to go ahead and end with prayer, and we want to thank you again from our heart, just that you listened tonight and followed along, but we appreciate it. Okay. That will end the Bible study.